All right, this is what was scheduled. Patty, go ahead.
Sorry. Let's see. Oh, never mind. I'm a co-host, I guess, because I signed up a while ago on my other committee, and it's just never let me go.
All right, that's great that you're a co-host. We'll be able to use that at some
I
point.
did want to say something. Yeah,
Yes,
I had talked to Kyle last night because he
Patty,
has
could I ask you to wait for that until we start the meeting?
we
I'll call
have.
on you. I'll
Oh,
call on
I'm
you as
sorry.
soon as
Yeah,
I'll
officially.
call on you as soon as I do that. All right. All right. This is what was scheduled to be the meeting of the process committee at 10:30 a.m. on this 25th day of May 2021, scheduled to go until 12 noon. Members of the public who are present are welcome to stick around until 9:45, at which time we will take comment from the public. If for some reason this meeting is ended or going to be ended before that, we will give the public an opportunity to speak before we do that. We'll try not to do that since it's scheduled for 10:30 to 12. Let's see. Our position is that that we apparently do not have a quorum, and I have some things to suggest about that. But Patty had her hand up. Patty, what were you going to say?
Well, I just wanted to say, having received Jane's email after I talked to Kyle, because I thought that when I talked to Kyle last night that we could do some emailing and he could kind of send his vote in as a member of the meeting who couldn't be here, but did have an opinion and voted on stuff. And he did send some more things to even discuss about the value statement. And then Jane, she responded to his email sort of saying, hey, we need to cancel this meeting and meet at some point when we can all meet together in a better way to discuss what's still there and a very important thing. And I wanted to know if you had heard from Kevin at all, since he'd been copied all of this stuff and I don't see him here. And maybe the best thing to do is to cancel this meeting and not have any more discussion until we can get together.
We can consider doing that. I will give you some information and then we will decide what to do. In the first place, let me state that I'm very frustrated with the email system that we have. Some valuable emails for me to see were hijacked. And you know how that works. They're hijacked and stuck under somebody else's message, and we don't have them listed in the message. For that reason, I had no idea. A very important thing, I had no idea that Kyle was going to be gone or what he was doing and whether he was going to be in the air and everything until I found the hidden email under one of Jane's emails. Not Jane's fault, it's the fault of the email system that does that. And so you cannot know when you have an email that way by looking out there. You have to go in and look at all the emails that you have received that might have hijacked that particular email.
You're
that has
into the choir here.
Yeah, I know. And for that reason, there were a bunch of emails that I missed because I check my emails all the time. There were a bunch that I missed that had been hijacked. And so I didn't know what was going on with him. I knew about Bill, obviously. By the way, we never even took our roll call. For purposes of the roll call, we have present Patty Garcia, or as it says on your little title down here, Perry Garcia.
Oh, sorry.
And Bob O'Connell and Sharon Abreu. And we have Megan McLean present.
Abreu.
Abreu. I'm sorry, what did I say?
Abreu.
Yeah.
You know me, Bob.
Yeah. And we also have at least one member of the public, Micheline Halliday. But okay, there are 3 members present, meaning that there are 4 members absent, and we'll discuss each one of those briefly. Bill Apple is absent because of apparently long-standing medical issues, or at least he told us a while back that he was going to be absent. So we were prepared for that. Jane emailed us and let us know within the last couple of days that she was not going to be at this meeting today because of her business load. Some of us, like myself, are retired. Jane is not retired. She has a job that keeps her busy, and she has been pulled away from that job a whole lot, and just couldn't do it anymore. Couldn't attend today's meeting because of the press of business. Understandable. Wish we could have predicted it early last week or something, but that's, you can't. Sometimes you can't. Okay. And then let's see, we have Kyle. I had no idea Kyle wasn't going to be here until I got the hijacked email that said he was in the air and would be taking off at 5:30 in the morning or something like that this morning, and landing shortly before 12 noon. And then the other person is, who am I leaving out? Oh, Liz. Liz went on vacation, I guess. Is that right? That's what I saw in the note. She went on vacation, which is, well, she just went on vacation. And so she is not present. Liz sent us comments. Oh, and by the way, because because Kevin asked us to do this, the subcommittee of Patty Garcia and Sharon Abreu, when the two of them produced their suggested document, and praise be to you for doing so, Kevin asked that we send it out to the entire commission, even though it hadn't been approved by us, letting them know that that was the case, which we did. And now it turns out to be very prescient. A good thing that we did that, because now people have seen that. Since then, we have gotten comments from Kyle suggesting a couple of changes, from Liz suggesting a couple of changes, very easy to adopt. I don't know whether you guys saw those. My feeling about that is, generally, if we adopted each of the changes suggested by those two people, we've got 5 people who like this. Jane doesn't like it and isn't going to vote for it anywhere. So go ahead, Sharon.
Well, a couple things. First of all, I totally agree with Liz's changes. I don't think I agree with Kyle's proposed changes. So unfortunately, that kind of complicates things. We will need to, as we would in any case, need to talk about those changes and how they would impact the document. But I also want to say, that we got feedback from one person that some of the statements in the value statement sounded judgmental, and that concerns me. I think we really want to steer clear of sounding judgmental. And even though Patty and I worked on this together, I am not attached. I'm just personally not so attached to the work that we did that I would say, if we wanted to make this simpler and shorter, I would be okay with that too.
Yes, Patty.
I totally agree with Sharon. It's easy for me to make changes on the thing I had, but it was nothing set in stone. Nothing. It was just out there to work with, and which is really disappointing that we don't have more people to work on it. But hey, the other thing is, this is something for the full commission to weigh in on. Just because we suggested as a committee doesn't mean that the commission has to say, oh yeah, we love it or we hate it, because it's a commission thing.
All right. Yeah.
And so I think, I sympathize with Jane in that it's very important and it's a statement we want to be correct, but our little committee isn't necessarily the people who have to make sure that it's correct. I would love to put something out there. I know they've got us on the schedule for tonight's meeting, to put something out there and say, hey, this is our draft. We would like to see the commission want to do this, but yet have it worked on before. And if it can't go on the ballot this November, then do it on the ballot for next November. But hey, this is really important. We don't want to be too rushed with it. And this is our statement, which we can change with those Kyle's, although I didn't totally agree with Kyle either, but Liz's little changes. But say that it's not etched in stone, this is still a working document. And I just really don't agree with putting us into the position that we're in as having to have something out there. And also I don't agree with the fact that it has to just come from this committee because it's a whole commission.
No, I don't.
Hi, Ben. Ben, would you please mute your microphone? Thank you very much.
Well, all right.
Can I make another comment?
Yes, please, Sharon.
Yeah, just to say, I don't think we should, like what Patty was just saying, I don't think we should sweat this so much. I just want to say that I really appreciate that what we're trying to do here is to satisfy a lot of people's desires. And we're doing this, right? We finally finished the preamble. It was very tough. Why was it so tough? Because it sets up this entire document. So it really puts a lot of pressure on people to what are we going to say that's really, short and succinct and really nails the spirit of this entire document. And that's kind of what we're also doing with the values statement, because we have so many people that passionately wanted to have a Bill of Rights in here. We said, no, we can't do that. Legally, we were advised we can't put the word rights in here for nature. We can't have, so we're trying to do something that sets forth the spirit of this document in terms of the values of the majority of people who have been working on it. So I would say it's not actually as important that we have all of these different values in there, as much as I personally like them, but I do want to be careful not to sound judgmental. But I think what we're trying to do is just set a tone for where we see the county going. And, maybe that's something that's a little more heart-centered, and for us to just kind of take a little time with those statements just from kind of a heart place rather than so much of a head place. And maybe we'll come to something that is a little more in a nutshell what we want to set forth at the outset of this document.
Okay, I've got a comment now. I guess I really wish that the little two-person subcommittee, if you wanted the document to be something different than what you produced, I really wish you would have produced the different document that you wanted. Because I was hoping that we would at least have a couple of people who were for the document. Okay, it doesn't.
I'm not saying I'm against it. I'm not saying I'm against the document.
Okay, Patty.
We're for the document. We just can't be the judge for everybody. This is a very
Of course, no one's asking you to do that. Where we are right now is that I predict that we will have no value statement in the charter. And that is a big loss if it comes off that way. I had hoped that out of this meeting, of course, I'd hoped we'd have a quorum and would have a regular meeting. That's not going to happen. So knowing that was not going to happen, thinking about this meeting, I had hoped that we would come out with some sort of consensus of what we thought this thing ought to be, and that we would report to the main commission that we didn't have a quorum, we couldn't take a vote, we couldn't conduct any official business. All we had was a discussion, and the discussion led us to agreement as to what this thing ought to look like. And then we had comments from a couple of other people, maybe if we could get Liz in there and put her comments in there, and then figure out what comments from Kyle were going to be okay and which ones. You've both expressed that there are some problems with him. So we ought to think about taking them out and then keeping our fingers crossed that Kyle will call me, because I emailed him just a little while ago and gave him my telephone number. He said he wished that he had my telephone number. He's going to be landing shortly before noon. If he will call me and I can say, Kyle, this is what we kept and what we didn't keep. Are you good with that? My guess is he's going to say yes. And if he says yes, then we got you and me and Liz, the two of you and me and Liz and Kyle. And that's 5. Yes, Patty.
Oh, Megan has something to say too.
Hi,
Can someone email me the document that you're talking about? That would be lovely.
Oh yeah.
Which version? I guess.
My email is on the last, it's not a county email, but Randy said that was fine. So there's a Gmail account for me.
I would say just send her the
you
latest
see
thing
it?
that Patty, that we sent around to the whole committee last week.
I'm ready to put it up on the thingy, if that's okay.
I would love to have, like, to be able to look at it on a screen here.
Right. I'm
That's
ready
what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. And then we will go over one piece at a time.
Okay.
I have the documents here about what everybody said ought to be changed. Yeah, Patty.
Yeah, I want to share screen with this, and this is what I sent Kyle yesterday because we had talked on the phone about Liz's changes, and so it does have some things highlighted where I can plug in Liz's changes, just so when you see it and you see this yellow stuff, you'll know what that is.
Was
So
Kyle good with Liz's changes?
yeah, but then he sent, he
Some more.
sent more things. So he sent his. I wasn't expecting him to send what he sent. Just say that.
Okay.
So I have to get his email back up there. But it should go on your screen pretty soon. Is it coming?
Yeah,
we
just popped up. And
Oh, good. Okay.
okay,
So you can see these yellow things.
yeah.
Those are the areas that Liz had to change, and I haven't plugged the change in there. I just was sending this to Kyle because he
Yeah.
hadn't gotten this.
Liz's changes were, I'm sorry, go ahead. I interrupted you. Go
Oh, they
ahead.
were just one word. She wanted to change sustainable here to regenerative, and she wanted to change renewable here to regenerative, and she wanted to put limited in front of well managed. So I can do those three things and you can see what they look like.
Now,
Go ahead, Sharon.
yeah, I just want to say that I agree with adding limited. I think that's a very good change, and I had actually been thinking about that myself. As far as putting in the word regenerative and taking out the words that are already there, it would be my preference to just add the word regenerative rather than actually removing the words that are there right now, because they're all a little bit different.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. So that would be sustainable.
See, here's the thing. We can do that, and maybe that is what we ought to do, Sharon. The concern in the back of my mind is if we did the changes that Liz suggested, the few little changes Liz suggested, we got Liz on board. Although Liz has a history of saying, I think you ought to add 1 and 2. And then when we add 1 and 2, she'd say, I can't vote for this now. And that's happened a number of times. And
Really? Wow.
And probably with good reason. She's probably looking at something she didn't notice before or something like that. But at any rate, I would assume that if we made the changes that she suggested, if we were good with those, then we'd have her vote.
Yeah.
But we're not saying we should do that. Why is she more important than you, Sharon? She's not. So
no, I'm not saying that she is. No, I'm giving you my opinion on her suggestions.
Of
That's
course.
all. And
Of course.
these are proposed suggestions. I don't know if we're going to actually adopt anything today. These are proposed suggestions that we're talking about.
No, we can't adopt anything today. What we can do is arrive at a consensus of what we think we could support when it comes to commission time. And I would just tell them that that's where we are, and that we didn't have an official meeting and couldn't take a vote. So this is just this is going to be a discussion, which will, I hope, end up with something that we can send them and say, look, we've made a few changes to the document we sent around. By the way, we sent that around to 18 people. No one has commented on it. All right.
Oh.
So I don't know exactly what that means. Yes, Patty.
So I just made those changes here, and will you guys review them and see? I mean, I'm totally for what you're saying, Bob, and I think that's a good idea. We're on the agenda for tonight. We have to give them something.
Right.
So if you take a minute to review these changes that are in this area here.
Okay, are they the changes that were on the document that we got from Liz with the yellow on it?
They're the changes that Sharon
Oh,
has.
Sharon,
we
yeah,
do
yeah.
with Liz's changes.
I gotcha. And we'll just tell Liz, we added your suggested language, but we did not strike your suggested strikes. Right? And that's what we're doing, right?
Right.
Okay.
And see
All
if
right.
I've done it right.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, well, the first one is we valued well stewarded. So where is that? Let's see.
Let's see. We
I don't even see that.
Maybe we should keep these changes
Oh, there it
highlighted
is.
for now.
There it is. We value well stewarded, sustainable,
where's the
Re-
well steward? Oh yeah, down here. Yeah.
regenerative, and renewable resources. That is what she asked for. I mean, that's what Sharon asked for,
Yeah.
given Liz's comments.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So
That one,
can we keep the changes that we're making now highlighted though for the time
Oh,
being?
sure. Let's go back
that
here.
that makes
and put
sense.
that. Okay.
So we're adding regenerative. And that's all we're doing
And
is adding
here.
regenerative.
And
Yes.
yeah. And those three were changed.
And then, oh, I see.
Because Liz didn't highlight
value
the other in
diverse.
her document, but she had struck it out and changed.
Yeah, I see. I see.
I
And
just want to say, oh, go ahead, Bob. I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead, Sharon, please.
Just to say, if people say, well, wait, why do you have all these words in there, But to my mind, there is a subtle difference between sustainable and renewable. There are some things that are renewable that are not actually sustainable. So I think it's good to keep that in there because we're kind of covering all bases. Regenerative, I think of in terms of water and agriculture. I don't, and trees, I don't necessarily think of regenerative in terms of everything that might be renewable, but to a large extent I do. So I actually do like having that in there. It brings to mind regenerative water, regenerative trees, regenerative agriculture. So I appreciate having it in there, even if some people think it might be too wordy.
No, Sharon, your opinion is as valuable an opinion as we can get. Let me suggest this, however. In looking at this, and I hate to say this because it is going against my gut reaction at this point in time where we are, is to say, hey, that's good. Yay, pass it on, because it is a good statement. And I want something rather than nothing. And I don't want this to be on the ballot a year from now or a year and a half from now. We got some steam up. This belongs on the ballot when we have the climate commissioner on the ballot. We need to not separate those items. So at any rate, we need to do the best we can in getting this on.
Jane's here.
Hey, Jane.
Jane is here.
Yay! Thank you, Jane, for appearing. Because you know what? We have a quorum now.
Now we have a quorum.
Thank you, Jane. I can't tell you how glad we are to see you. I know it's a sacrifice for you to appear. As I told the rest of them, you have a job. I'm retired. I can do this whenever. But you have been coming to meetings and coming to meetings and coming to meetings during work hours. That has to be difficult for you. Thank you for being here. Okay.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, I'll hang in for as long as I can. I'm just overloaded with stuff right now. But I saw that I saw Kyle's message about the same time you did, Bob. And yeah. So anyway,
Jane,
Jane,
that drives me crazy, Jane. That hidden message thing where they hijack a message and put it onto somebody else's, and you never see it. I didn't know anything about Kyle being gone. Anyway, here we are. So let me tell you where we are, Jane. We are looking at everybody's comments to what we have here. I know from your comment that you are generally not in favor of this, and that's obviously important, and we can talk about that in a few moments. Would it be okay for us to continue on to see what this thing can look like if it's going to be passed, and then we have to consider Jane's opinion about this and see whether or not it's still the same or what we can do about it. But the last item, folks, that Liz asked to be changed was to add the word limited down there. We value limited, well-managed growth, development, tourism, right? And we have added that in. So we have made, here is what we have done, Jane. Sharon liked the additions that that Liz was asking for, but she didn't like the subtractions. So what we did is we put, we're suggesting to put in Liz's suggestions and then, but leave the other word like sustainable and regenerative, both being in there, for instance. And that's kind of what we're talking about on those two. We haven't gotten to Kyle's yet. But so far, what we would need to do is tell Liz, and I don't know, I guess she's incommunicado, because otherwise she'd be on with us, even though she's on vacation. Is it? Yeah, Sharon.
Yeah, before we go on to Kyle's proposed changes, I just want to check in with Jane and see if there's anything.
Oh, sure.
Anything you want to
Sure. Yeah.
say?
Yeah. Jane, do you want to comment now, or you want to save it until a bit from now, or whatever you want?
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's a bit up to you all, but I mean, I've kind of put my cards on the table in terms of how I feel
You
about
did.
about this as as it's currently written, and yeah, I just don't support it in this format, in this form, and I just find that there's too much overlap of issues and ideas, and I just feel like, you know, a statement that is concise and succinct, that conveys some key messages along the lines of what that Bill of Rights did, but in fewer sort of paragraphs, perhaps. I just feel that this is a lot for people to try and digest in terms of all of these multiple ideas, and I think it's also going to not land well with the full commission. I think they're going to question why so many we values, and sort of goes to the comments I made at the last meeting. So, you know, I would have, if I had time, I would have gone back to the language that was in the Bill of Rights that we were discussing some weeks back, you know, prior to having it sent to the prosecuting attorney, and I would have reworded those in such a way that they could represent value statements, and put them back out, you know, to the full group. I just apologize. I've just not had time, you know, and
Understandable.
I talked to yesterday. But what I would have done is I would have gone into that document, and I think Patty wants to say something. I would have gone into that document and sort of cut and pasted, if you will, the wording that would represent these things that are all in here, but with fewer statements, because I think you really lose people with all of these. And so Patty had her hand up. Bob.
Valuable. Thank you very much, Jane. I'd like to ask you some questions about it, but Patty, what you got?
Yeah, I just wanted to state that when Sharon and I were putting this together, we were told to take Liz's document, which only had 4 things in it, as a Bill of Rights. And we were also told to take the other 2 things that Kyle and Bob had worked on, which was way longer. And that's why, which were value statements, but it was Bob's, and then Kyle had added and changed it. And so that's where all of these things came from. And we didn't even include all of those. We didn't include the one about health, or the one about education, or the one about, I can't remember what, but it seemed like we were zoning in on, you know, the values of the natural community. And that's what we wanted to keep this to. But yeah, we didn't want to have it huge either, as just, or healthcare is what I'm saying. We do have health in there. It is tough, Jane. And I was sort of hoping before you joined the meeting, I was indicating that I'm hoping that the feedback or the work of the whole committee could make this a better document than our little committee has done.
Let me ask this question of everyone, and particularly of Jane. Would this be a better document? I know this goes in the opposite direction I usually like to go. I usually like to get it done, you know, but and we still need to get it done. But would this be a better document if we made it a declaration of community values regarding nature. In other words, that focuses it
that
down
focuses it.
to what people wanted. And then we would leave out all the stuff about freedom and dignity and mutual responsibilities and not that there's a lot. Almost all of it is about nature to begin with. But would that be a better focus for us and be more logical? Because if we have it wider, then people are going to say, where is your value regarding good race relations, or regarding any number of a gazillion other things that values that we probably do share. So maybe we ought to, go one way or the other. How do people think about that? Jane, what do you think about that?
I'd like to ask Sharon first what she thinks about that, actually.
Okay, Sharon.
Well, yeah, I actually like that. I'm feeling like many people kind of in this little constricted box of what we can say and what we can't say. I want to just echo what Patty said. That's exactly what we did. Was we had these 3 documents. We were tasked with harmonizing those 3 documents, so that's what we were trying to do. I'm open to a shorter, more succinct document, as long as it just captures the spirit of the sense of values that we want to convey. Does that help?
Yeah. A shorter document. I have no objection to a shorter document, even a much shorter document. We use a lot of words. We use a lot of words that people who have been looking at this stuff for a long time are familiar with. Are the people who are going to vote on this, are they going to know the difference between sustainable and regenerative? Are they going to know what those 2 things mean? If we left in one and took out the other, or are these words for you and me? Are these common values that we all hold? Maybe if we focused more on what somebody down the way who really believes that it's important to take care of our environment, but beyond that hasn't, studied it, or it hadn't been a cause for him or whatever, and we're going to ask that person to vote on it. Maybe a little, 10 really short little sentences. Patty.
Okay. Number one, I was going to just comment on your additional, your change for declaration of the values. I think that is so important, and I'm glad you put that out there. And of course, we're coming up with a definition of nature. So it's quite appropriate to stick that in there. Oh, okay, we're talking about nature here, and let's see what we think about it. As far as shortening them, I went through the 3 documents that we had, and I kind of did an Excel spreadsheet for myself, putting some of the things in the same line that had the same idea. And, not all of these things can be combined, but hey, I'm really happy to adjust this document if we need it to be shorter. But yeah, anyway, it's far enough.
I think you guys did a great job, but we're talking about kind of pulling the rug out from under your little subcommittee here and saying we need something different. But
our subcommittee can handle it.
My feeling, it sounded like you could. My feeling about it is that we ought to try and accomplish that now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
What does Megan have to say?
Megan, you have.
I would love to see, if somebody could email me
Patty,
the original,
yes,
and then
can
the
you give me
changes
your,
you guys have made, and then maybe I can help you with that.
I need your email address. I couldn't find it. I was going to do that, but I didn't have it. So give it to me right now.
I'm going to put it in the chat for you. Is that okay?
Oh, I can't get to the chat because I'm sharing screen and all
that.
that
That's
crap.
But I don't need it right now either. I just don't want to.
Okay, put it in the chat. I'll get it. But I was going to send it to you right now, except that I didn't have your email address handy, and my screen is taken up.
Yeah, we could just write it down or type it out or whatever.
I can tell you.
I'm ready
Mr. Chair, can I ask a question, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Would it be possible to, does somebody have the final version of that Bill of Rights that went to Randy Gaylord that we could send to Megan, that one that we deliberated over? No, we don't have that?
The one from Liz, I have. Yeah, we have it.
Yeah.
The
I'm
final
not
one,
sure what I have is right.
pardon
By
me?
the way,
Oh.
You want to share the screen on that?
that is actually, by the
I
way, longer, contains more words than what
Yeah,
they
so-
produced here.
Yeah, but here's my point, Bob, and let me go back to the question you asked before
Yeah.
about whether this just become a declaration of the rights of nature. I would say no, because that takes us back to so many of the discussions we've had about, we are all part of this, and to sort of hive off people at all is just taking us back to where you guys all were before I even joined the committee, really. I mean, I don't feel it does service to some of the language that we came up with that I think would enable us to include, how people factor into this. But if everybody disagrees, then, we can all vote with our conscience on that and what have you. But
Go ahead.
so I just, to call it a declaration on, the what did you call it? The Declaration on
Community
Nature.
values regarding nature.
Community values regarding nature. So, I don't know. Yeah, you guys all seem to be in favor of that idea. So if you want to run with that, I don't agree.
So what should it be? How does that not represent what we should be doing?
Well, with that, why not call it a declaration of community values and maintain the language that still allows people to be considered within that in terms of their relationship with nature. That's what we've been talking about for months. And so we're all of a sudden, it doesn't matter.
Well, no, human beings are obviously included within nature, but if you narrow it down to nature, then you're not putting down what our values are regarding sexism, regarding racism, what our values are regarding health and education, a good health and good education. Those are the values where nature is over here, and we're talking about people doing things to other people, and we can conclude those, but it would be a much longer list, wouldn't it?
So this is where I wish we could kind of look at that last version of that Bill of Rights document, and like I'm just looking at it right now. It's a previous version, but it, there are ways in which if I look at that, the clause on right to a healthy government, it reads all people in San Juan County have the right to be governed by a democratic society that is just, participatory, sustainable, and peaceful. We modified this language a bit. That's why I would really love to have that latest version. But you could, and then it says a government that allows people to realize their full potential by promoting social and economic justice that nurture meaningful livelihoods and blah, blah, blah. But why couldn't we just take one line out of that and say, we value, a community that enables people to realize their full potential by, you know what I mean? Like, turn it into a values statement. That's what I'm talking about. But I honestly, because we put so much work into finalizing that Bill of Rights document, and it had some really, and we all agreed on it, and it had some really important value statements that were called rights, but we can transpose them into value statements, and it need not be that long. We can cherry pick 5 or something that are all encompassing.
Patty.
I'm confused in that I'm really, really, really not sure of what that document is that Jane is talking about. I'm really not sure of it. I would like to see it. And
I can do a screen share. I mean,
please, if you can.
It's Liz's document. We got halfway through it and then stopped.
When was it sent to Randy? And did we get comments back from Randy on this? This is just sort of vague in my memory.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the
one. Liz, I wish you had it's
I've
this
used-
document.
I used
can
Liz's
answer.
document that I thought was the most recent one, but
Yeah.
I can't swear that it is.
It's this document, and this is the one that we worked a lot on together, and it was a number of weeks back. And after we worked on it and concluded on it, and we spent at least 2 hours on the language of this document and got it to a stage where Bob then passed it off to the prosecuting attorney's office. Following which the prosecuting attorney and the issue that was the big issue was this right to
Right.
justice. Okay, so that's
Right.
what I'm talking about, and that kiboshed everything. And so then it was at that point it was decided, well, this document isn't of value anymore. Anyway, that's
So I'm sorry, this is the document that we used. And I just wanted to make sure that we were talking about the same thing. And the prosecuting attorney's opinion was about the right to restorative justice. So we've left that off and then we've gone forward. And Kyle had presented at the same time this other issues from the comp plan preamble or whatever that was a longer document, and that has been honed a little bit. But we did use Liz's document, and everything that was in Liz's document is in this thing that we ended up with. But there's also more in there because of Kyle's and Bob's additions for the value statements. But these value statements really are directed toward nature more than toward everything else, even though we have included some justice things in here, I think. But, if we can find out where in our document we are repeating ourselves and take up those things, and that'd be great. But that's what Sharon and I were trying to do when we met, and we ended up with all of these.
Jane, let me ask you a question. Are there things in the statement, the thing that you have before you now, I'm talking about the one that Patty and Sharon came up with. Are there things in there that your other committee covered okay and don't need to be in here? Justice kind of things.
Well, it's not an easy answer in a way. I mean, if we're talking about community values, okay, and a statement on community values, that's different than talking about a section of the charter on non-discrimination. It's different than a section in the charter about the creation of a commission. Okay, because those proposed amendments have different purposes, right? So that doesn't, from that, you can't necessarily assume that the community, I don't know, it's hard to answer that question. But the point is, I can't answer that question for you adequately. If we're stating in the charter that we have community values and we don't talk about, nature in a way that is representative of the people that live within it, and how we need to have social and economic justice as well, in order to be able to support the things that we want to do to support nature. I mean, they're not mutually exclusive. That's my point. And so they shouldn't be mutually exclusive in the value statement. That's my opinion.
Now, Patty has just told us, unless I have misinterpreted what you said, Patty, that you went through Liz's document there and took each one of those things and put it in here. Is that right?
Well, we compared everything that's in here, and what was in Liz's is in here.
Right, we consolidated the information we thought what might be missing from one and was in another, and we tried really hard not to repeat things, but we might have been a little repetitive, but we tried not to be. But we made sure that the things that Liz had in her Bill of Rights were included in this document.
Could we take a few minutes and
Wow. Yeah.
demonstrate that to Jane, so she'll feel better about what this is in this document? Because if the things in this document do represent what was in Liz's document, then maybe Jane will feel more approving of it. I don't mean to talk for you, Jane, but is that a worthwhile exercise?
Share screen again.
You can't put them both up, can you?
Oh, sorry, I'm sharing the issues document thingy here, which really does have basically the natural world as the reason for being. But Sharon just emailed out both of the documents that she emailed 2 documents, because the 3 documents we were looking at, were kind of a combination of the last
But
one.
I emailed the one that we put together as the combined document. At least I'm praying that's what I sent out.
Okay.
I think that's what I sent out. And then I sent Liz's document.
So we're back to the combined document here, and which also includes Bob's suggestions for findings. And it includes our reason for doing it.
Right, I didn't have that. I don't believe in the table, so I didn't. That's why I just sent the Word document.
What I'm asking is, because I know that we do have everything that Liz did in here, and you could probably find it if you highlight words or whatever. But where are we repeating ourselves, and where should we make this document shorter?
It sounds like the document is going to get longer, not shorter.
I don't think so.
We need to make a decision about whether or not we're going to include our values regarding how we treat each other. If there's the way we treat each other, and then there's the way we treat the natural world around us and our environment and the ecosystems, and those things, although I beg your pardon, human beings are a part of that, of nature and that those ecosystems, the way they treat each other is a separate and potentially long list of values. We value. Go ahead. Who wanted to say something?
Well, I'm just going to say, right around here, these things are all sort of saying that. We value a vibrant, inclusive, just, and diverse community, fostering peace, mutual tolerance, and respect for each other's dignity, privacy, freedoms, and responsibilities.
Yeah.
Heritage, culture, and contributions of the region's indigenous people. And that, that they're all part of an integral part and all important and intrinsic.
Yes. Okay, Jane.
Yeah, so thank you, Patty. I was just going to point that out, was those first, 4 lines essentially capture what we'd talked about previously. I guess what I'm challenged by then is the number of statements that follow on from that. And I see Megan has her hand up, but, underneath that are another, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and I can't even see the bottom of the screen. But so, this is what I'm saying in terms of, tightening it up. Now, Megan has her hand up, Bob, and I think I'd be interested in hearing what she has to say, because for me, therein lies the problem. Okay. Is that we could have a couple of short, succinct statements at the top regarding what we're talking, and then anyway, Megan.
So first,
Megan, did you wish to say
question.
something, Megan?
Yes, please.
Go ahead.
So I see these 2 documents, the Bill of Rights and the value statement. Has this committee worked on both of those?
Yes, Bill of Rights is dead, as per our attorney.
It's gone.
What I do?
Well, we're told that we couldn't legally use that language, so we're trying to just get the values in here somehow.
We mourned that loss, and now are trying to keep the spirit of what we were doing with the Bill of Rights alive with these community values. We don't want to entirely let loose.
Can I make a suggestion?
Please.
This is like something I specialize in.
Okay.
Let me take a crack at it and see if I can come up with a shorter, more condensed version of it that covers all the bases. Because I do see a lot of repetition in there too, and a lot of redundancy. Send it to me. Let me just take a crack at it, and then you guys can go look at it again. And if you hate it, but I mean, I'm just here to help. But in terms of condensing something into a workable draft, that's something I'm very good at. And I could save you a lot of trouble in this meeting. Just
Megan,
let somebody else maybe try.
Yeah, Megan, if we, I got 2 comments about that, or 3 comments maybe. The first is, boy, does that sound good. The second is to ask you how long that might take before you can produce a document that we could look at.
Give me 24 hours. I don't know that I can do it this
Okay.
afternoon. You guys have a meeting where this is going to be reviewed. This,
Well, that'll have to
well,
be,
I can try.
yeah. There was another question, but I don't remember what it was. Go ahead, Sharon.
Yeah, no, I just think the best thing for us is all to kind of just, you know, do the best we can to kind of relax about this a little bit. We don't have to have the absolute final thing today. There's going to be discussion around it. If we have something proposed, that's great. If not, we can just say, you know, these are the things we're working with, and you know, we're still hoping to have this be a more succinct statement in the next couple of days.
Okay.
My concern
yes,
with
Megan.
trying to produce something quickly is that you all would not have a chance to look at it before it was thrown into a larger meeting. And I'm not sure that that's a good idea.
No, we're not going to do that. We're going to,
Okay.
this
Okay.
committee is going to look at that. Let me tell you, Megan, that we have, as a committee, we have a history of having 1 or 2 people be assigned to it, having that brought back, and whatever they brought back doesn't fly. I'm just telling you that that's the way this committee has been, and I would be hopeful that wouldn't happen again. That you could bring us a good short document. We could all go, oh, it's not perfect, but we like it, so let's vote for it. Nothing you can do about that. All you can do is do your best job. But does the rest of the committee know what I'm talking about? Am I making this up?
No.
Well, I'm pretty new to the committee, but I have some idea what you're talking about. But I just want to say you should never have named this the process committee.
What would be a good name for it? No, I don't want to hear it. Okay.
Blockage committee.
What do other people think about this idea of Megan doing this and us getting, I mean, here's an idea. I don't believe there is, let's see. No, there's a morning meeting and an afternoon meeting on tomorrow, today and tomorrow. And then there's a morning meeting on Thursday, right? Yes, Patty.
I was just going to say, Megan, we had intended to get you into this process, but when we put it together, it was sort of like, well, we don't really need more research right now. And you're busy having just come on the scene, which is the only reason you weren't included at the time. So I personally would appreciate your input on what we have. I would personally appreciate Bob's stating that, you know, we're still working on it. Everybody in the committee has gotten in the whole commission has gotten our original ideas there. And maybe, you know, we'll give them some time to talk about it in the meeting or whatever, but understanding that this is still a working document.
Okay, Jane and then Megan.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I completely support the idea of Megan taking this and working on it because she is an editor. And I know Megan from that perspective, and I know that this is something she's skilled at. And it's not, and I think that given what she's got to work with, which is rather inclusive of everybody's, you know, stake in this, right? Like it really does. It covers important issues in the comp plan and the language of the intro to that. It covers off, you know, material that that we've really discussed as a group and gone over and massaged and all the rest of it. So for myself, if Megan can do this, I'm prepared to say, go for it. And if she can retain the essence of some of the language at the front end of what Patty and Sharon came up with, I'm fine with that. I don't feel so stuck in this that I can't go, I'm good. You know, I can. And actually, I wanted to share one more thing with you, and that is Sharon and Kyle and I spoke briefly after our Justice and Equity Committee meeting yesterday. And I was so grateful to hear Kyle talk about, you know, what he thinks about when he thinks about these community values statements. And he shared with us what his neighbor on San Juan Island was exposed to in I think it was it Vernon, British Columbia, Sharon? Or no, it wasn't Vernon. what town?
Nelson. Nelson.
So
Nelson.
what Kyle learned from his neighbor, and this is important because it's like, where does this come from, right? And it was this neighbor going to Nelson and discovering in Nelson that the town of Nelson had these community values statements that were quite publicly consumable. In other words, you could go to different places in the town and see the spirit of the town in these value statements that were on display publicly.
Yeah, they were actually posted around town, right?
Yeah, and what Kyle said was that it really made an impression on his neighbors, and they shared that with him. And when Kyle described that, I thought, yeah, like, could these statements be, short enough, succinct enough that they would characterize this county, right? I don't know. That for me it really made sense,
Jane, let me ask you before we go on to the other folks who got their hands up. When you said they posted those values, was there maybe, let's say there were 15 values. Did they post the 15 values here, or did they take one of the values and post it over here, and another one of the values and post it over there?
My understanding, and Sharon, correct me if I'm wrong, my understanding is that they were like 3 or 4 succinct statements. They were not like it wasn't a whole list. It was like a set of brief statements, and those were the values. And
I see.
So that's
I wish we could. I think that's what he was saying. I wish we could grab it. Apparently, it sounded like he couldn't find it online. Am I right about that?
Yeah, that's what I remember him saying.
We have to go to Nelson to get it off like a telephone pole.
Megan, go ahead.
So what I would suggest is that, and I've got to run here, that you maybe designate one person among you who knows these documents really well and could just spend maybe a half an hour on the phone with me and talk me through the background and basically what I'm looking for is for the stuff that didn't fly versus the stuff that has been okay. And so that I can I don't want to take you down a path that has been difficult.
Yeah.
So I'm just looking for context, and then I can get to work on it. So, figure that out, drop me an email, and I will work with that person to find a time to spend some time on the phone with them. And then we'll get this moving. Does that sound okay to everyone?
Yep.
Yes.
Patty?
Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate the statement about these values do relate to nature, because that was our idea here. And so sure, the community values a hell of a lot more that aren't in here, because these are the values that relate to our position in this world.
Well, I'm not sure that's shared by everybody. It sounded like Jane wasn't really at that same place. Is that right, Jane?
Well, I guess I would just say that where I'm sitting quite comfortably is those statements that Patty and Sharon captured and put, that are at the top, right?
Yeah,
so
I got you.
For me, if Megan looks at those four statements there, and sees that there's some redundancy or there's some repetition, there's some important values that you guys captured that are up there, Patty. And I'd say, hey, capture some of that will work for me, and then it's, the nature stuff is where it gets a little more sticky because there's a lot there.
Patty.
Just want to comment that, we have the comp plan. The people of San Juan County, as far as I know, haven't voted on the comp plan.
No.
I mean, there is this wonderful comp plan that most people don't even know what's in it or anything. And that's where a lot of these statements came from. But it's not a statement of our community values because it's never been voted on. But this will be voted on. And our whole purpose here at the beginning was to come up with a Bill of Rights for nature. So we have come up with a statement of values that have to do with nature. And I know Sharon's real excited to say something.
Yeah, Sharon, go ahead, please.
Sorry. No, I agree with Patty. And just to say, I think it's perfectly wonderful to reaffirm our relationship to each other as human beings, because that is, without that, we can't work together on anything, and our well-being is very important. So, this is the thing about being an environmental educator. People say, oh, you only care about the trees, you're just a earth muffin, or, it's like, no, I mean, I'm concerned about human health and quality of life and and fairness and the next 7 generations of human beings, you know. So I think it really would behoove us to make it clear that we're talking about humans and nature, and humans as part of nature.
Okay, I don't think we can have something that we're calling a declaration of community values and only include nature. So if it's going to be focused on nature, we call it a declaration of community values regarding nature, then people will know what we're talking about, and they won't expect to see values about racism and police brutality and a list of things a mile long that are important to all of us. They won't expect to see that. They'll expect to see things regarding another thing they value a whole lot, which is nature. And yes, it could be made quite a bit shorter. Is that what we want? I think it is, but is that what we want? A declaration of community values regarding nature?
Yeah, I think.
And if so, what do we do about those things? Those things that are already in here that talk about self-government and that kind of stuff.
Oh, that's all part of the world that we're in. So, it's not, that's the thing. It's not a duality. It's not humans and the world.
No, of course not. Of course not.
That's all we're saying is that we are a part of this world, and this is what we do.
Of course it's not. But here, my thought of it, when I think about self-government, for instance, I don't think about, the trees aren't going to Congress. People elect other people to represent them. It's all people's relationships with other people. That's what the government is. But maybe I'm a little dense, and I think I probably am. And it's seeping in that our government also affects nature. What it does affects nature a whole lot. Yes, Jane, and then Patty again.
Yeah, I was just going to suggest that, with regard to whether we add nature in the title of this community values or not is something we hold for now and let Megan do some work, and it might be helpful to have a fresh set of eyes. And I'm saying that because I think you talk to probably 99% of the population in San Juan County. I could be a little less, but you ask them whether they understand people to be part of nature. It's somewhat, conceptual discussion we've been having around this since the very beginning. And so I think the majority of people who read a community values of nature, declaration of community values of nature or on nature, what have you, they're gonna think that it's very much about nature and not about people. And so I'm saying it could be a bit misleading for the electorate, but I think it could be helpful for us perhaps to have Megan try it on for size and maybe come back to us with some reflections, because she's coming in cold on this, and she can give us her sense, and
including her suggestion about what the title ought to be. Maybe
anything.
Okay. Megan asked for a person that she can go back and forth with, make sure she's got the right documents. Patty,
somebody.
Patty's volunteering. I see Patty volunteering.
I had one more comment. Remember, I was going to talk.
Oh, that's right. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say that, in the statement, we do at the bottom say we value a local government that is responsive to the people, et cetera. And I think that because this is supposed to go into our charter, that statement of having government be part of the process is still something we want to include. I'm just stating that, and it's at the bottom.
Can we take the last 7 minutes to take a look at what I suggested, given all of this discussion, what I suggested as the findings? Could you put that up?
Oh yeah, good findings. Can I put them up? I'll share them.
Yeah, because that will help. If we agree that that does represent what the findings ought to be, it'll help guide Megan, I think, in what she comes up with. And if it's not what we want the findings to be, we got to work on something else. I just did my best.
Can I say something? Yeah, Bob, and I just want to appreciate your efforts. I just want to express appreciation for your efforts. And
thank you very much.
This has been a difficult process, and there's people with very different kind of, seeing things through different lenses, and that's really hard to negotiate. So I'm just glad I'm not chair of a committee and I can just throw my comments in there. But I also just want to say I just actually identified online guiding principles from Nelson, BC. So if people are interested, I'll send them to you. I don't want to confuse the issue even more, but I did find those online.
I'd love to see that.
I'll send an email.
Okay, the very first item on the right there, folks, in the right-hand column, just number one, not the rest of it, is what I put up to suggest for what the findings ought to be. It is important for members of a community to agree upon and understand what its common values are. It is important for the local government, which is empowered by that community, to understand the values it is to employ when it does the people's business. It is important for those values to provide a yardstick with which to measure the success of the local government, and indeed the success of the community as a whole in living up to its highest aspirations. By becoming enshrined in the county's principal document, these values are permanently held up to us all as our explanation to ourselves of who we are. Especially important to me is the part in there about the local government using it, when they conduct their business, and then later on using it as a yardstick as to their success. Would those be acceptable as findings to folks?
Oh, yeah, I think
It sounds like they would. In that case, Megan, those will be our findings. And Megan, well, I'll suggest that they'll be our findings. Yeah, well, yeah, we can take a vote. I move that statement be the findings of this committee regarding what it's going to be coming up with as values. And Patty, are you seconding it? Or are you asking a question?
Well, I'm trying to, the finding statements that you have, there's 4 of them here. So are you talking about all 4
No,
or just your number 1?
No, I didn't write any of those other 4. I don't know what those are.
These other ones?
Yeah, I haven't seen them before.
All the Washington.
I don't know what they are.
Oh, I'm sorry. I guess maybe we had them there before.
Yeah, I've never seen them or read them for that matter.
Well, they came from somebody.
Well, okay.
Okay.
Can we use the number 1 there?
I'm not sure where they came from, but okay.
We don't want the findings. We don't want the
Well,
findings.
these were just
longer than the
findings.
document.
Well, they're not, but I mean, these are findings, and findings are not published unless we want to publish them in the voters pamphlet and that sort of thing. These are just findings to the commission as a whole to say, hey, this is why we want these value statements to be here. And I see, okay, I'm not quite sure where I got these. I thought I'd gotten them all from you, but I'm sorry.
No, ma'am, I've never seen them. I mean, I don't recall considering.
Okay, so must have been findings that I had earlier about this. I mean, I'm not quite sure because I didn't write them. So maybe they came from Kyle. I don't know. I got them from somebody, and it could have been
these.
Anyway, so they were all there, and I guess I thought that we were talking about the whole thing.
Thank you for bringing it to our attention, Patty. But my motion was about number 1, and it's to make those our findings. Is there a second? It doesn't look like there is.
I have a question, Bob.
Okay, go ahead.
I have a question for you. So I was just quickly reading through all 4 of those. I think the number 1 is good. I like it. And I'd be prepared to say, yeah, let's incorporate that as part of our findings. And I look at 2, 3, and 4, and there's I see some value in those as well, given the discussions we've been having over many weeks now. And so I wonder, for 2, 3, and 4, we should probably find out where they came from and who drafted them, and whether or not I don't know. Do we want to ask? I don't know, does Megan want to take a look at them? And we keep one as is, and then we consider 2, 3, and 4 and how they blend together or what have you. So
That's
Bob,
good.
I
Why-
support number 1. I support number 1.
Sure.
Uh,
Yeah, so
Is it the feeling that we do want to take a vote here, or do we just want to let Megan take a look at it and come back with something in findings also? If number 1 is okay with people, we could do that, but I don't want to push that on anybody. If you want to look at these other things, I think it's really starting to get a little long if you had these other things on there. but,
Yeah. Bob,
uh,
what you've written in number 1 though is context. It's really important background context. So
I think it
that's
is.
why I support it.
Are you seconding the motion then?
Yeah, I'll second the motion.
Okay, okay, let's any discussion. Patty?
discussion. All right. Findings, at least in my opinion and my experience with getting the commission to approve things, findings are just the statements that the commission reads and says, oh, yeah. So
Okay,
having them short and concise isn't always what we want, because this isn't really for the public. I mean, what goes to the public is still going to be discussed, but these are information for the commission who hasn't been at our meetings and they don't know all this other crap that we've been to. It's just supposedly strengthens why we want to have these statements there. And I have to go back and read them again because I'm sorry, my brain is too old. I don't remember everything that I do. And I'm not really sure where I got them, but I know I didn't make them up.
probably one of our
So
absent,
anyway, I just,
folks.
well, yeah, it doesn't really matter, I guess, that I think that our value statements do need to be more concise. It's cool what Sharon sent about the statements from Nelson, which aren't all that short either. They take some room. And I love having Megan work with this, but I guess the findings are to strengthen when we present it to the commission. This is why. And I agree with what you wrote up here. I think it's beautiful. And I think these probably were coming up when we were trying to come up with Bill of Rights.
Okay, Patty, are you suggesting? Sorry,
yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm just suggesting that Megan work with the whole thing and that the findings, I guess we really do need to vote on findings too, because they will be presented to the commission. So I just want,
Any
I
other
don't
comments?
care, but you're
Okay.
presenting it.
I'm just trying to, we're into time for the public,
Almost, yeah.
but are there other comments? And Patty, do you want to suggest something different than this number 1? Or
No,
you
it's
wanna make
fine. If you want to
Any
leave.
kind of
all
a
things
motion to
without,
add
that's
anything
fine.
or? All right, not seeing any more discussion, then let's take a vote. Number 1 captured there. We're voting on whether or not that could be the findings for our value statement. All in favor, say aye. Raise your hand, please. We got 1 vote.
Aye, it's
Okay, so that motion fails. So
Wait,
What?
why did that
No.
motion fail?
do we have a?
You got everybody.
I'm sorry.
You
I
got
think-
4
everybody.
people.
You had 4 people. You just didn't see them.
Oh, really? Because I
Sharon
looked at
and-
it. I think my thing is running slow because I looked and just saw your faces.
Yeah, mine too.
Okay, so there's 4 votes for it, so motion passes. Those are our findings. Now, Megan, you need somebody who will send you the documents, and you can talk to that person about where that can be either myself or Patty is a suggestion, or does somebody else want to volunteer? Patty, do you have the time to do that?
Well, it depends on when Megan does, because I do have other things scheduled, so I don't know. I would love to have Megan taking a stab at it and then
Yes.
giving me a call when she can.
I would like to
Okay.
see that.
Okay, Megan, would you be in contact with Patty regarding this? Now
Sure.
let's talk about a timeline about how we can possibly do this, because I'd like to get the committee back together and vote after we've all had an opportunity to see what Megan has come up with and looked in, because the object of the next time we get together has got to be minor changes in what Megan comes up with and then adoption of it. Yes, Sharon, or tossing it out entirely. Not
Yeah, I'm sorry. I have two questions. Bob, you're putting some things in the chat and I'm not sure where
I'm-
they're coming from. So
Did you say I'm putting things in the chat?
did you, it says Charter Review Commission is putting, oh, it might be, oh, it's
Nothing.
coming from Jane?
Yeah. So you guys, I was just,
We're
I
all
didn't distract-
You-
those are the four vision statements from Nelson, BC. I was just,
Okay, those are the vision statements. That's different from the guiding principles.
well, the vision statements, they're goals. They're goals, four goals. A succinct goal.
Okay,
So guiding
all right.
principles might be a bit different, but Ben Bama shared with us their sort of strategic plan. So I just
I'll
looked at
email the report in just a sec.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is, it's a little confusing when both of you guys you appear in the chat as Salmon County Charter Review.
Okay, can we deal with this?
Cancel
Read it in.
in the chat.
Okay, we have to get to the public in just a second. Megan,
Yeah.
when can you have this document done? And from that time, we will look at times when we can meet. When can you have this document done?
I need to know what I'm looking at first. So give me a half an hour, like somebody send me the drafts and the originals, if there are originals, and give me a little context. I need to know if this is a new section or an old section. Let me look at it and I will email all of you with an assessment.
Let's just say, and I'm not holding you to anything, Megan, but just for the sake of trying to figure out what happens next, let's just say it's ready in 24 hours. So 24
try.
hours. 24
As long
hours.
as she gets the exact documents that she needs, and
Right.
somebody needs to take responsibility
Right.
for sending those because I don't have all of them.
She and Patty are going to be in communication. Okay,
Okay.
so that part's taken care of. So it's 24 hours from now, after that 24-hour period from right now, we have a commission meeting tomorrow afternoon. Obviously, it's not going to be looked at today, so that's got to be moved. Commission meeting tomorrow afternoon, and we have a commission meeting Thursday morning. Okay, I've got a climate meeting tomorrow morning from 10 to 12. Other than those times, when can the four of us get together? I'll do it anytime. The rest of you other three can get together anytime, other than those times. Yes, Sharon.
I just want to say I'm trying to prepare for the RCV discussion, so I can't do it before our meeting this evening.
No, but we couldn't do it. No, I'm talking about after Megan comes up with her document.
Oh, okay. All right.
24 hours from now, there's going to be a short window because it's got the last meeting of the commission is scheduled for Thursday morning. So it has to be before Thursday morning at 10 o'clock. There could be Thursday morning at 9 o'clock. I could do it Wednesday. I could do it Wednesday evening after the big meeting at 6 o'clock, 6:30. But what would people like? When would people like to do it? Yes, Patty.
I'm available whenever we come, but I prefer later rather than early. I'm not that great in the morning.
Can people do it after the big commission meeting on tomorrow?
I'm trying to get my calendar to
could.
come up. So far I can't give you an answer.
How about you,
Calendar's not
Jane?
coming up.
I'm particularly sensitive about you, Jane, because
Wednesday night.
you've got the
Do you have
work.
a calendar up?
It's got to be tough for you.
well, I just give me 1 sec because I have a work meeting tomorrow night with a client in Australia.
Oh, no.
So just a sec. I'm trying to confirm if that's tonight or tomorrow at 8 p.m.
Sure.
I think it's today. So in other words, yeah, so tomorrow night I can be available. Tonight I can't. So
Well, let's look at tomorrow night after the
Wednesday.
big meeting. And Megan, if you're
Okay.
still here, I don't know if you are.
I
If you're
am.
here, if we could shoot for that and having the document out to all of us by then we'll have something to look at and maybe can confirm that before the Thursday morning meeting. Yes, Sharon.
Yeah, I have on my calendar that I was planning to tune into the Sound Defense Alliance meeting at 6:30 tomorrow. I don't have to do that. I guess I need to give this committee priority, but I was really hoping to tune into that, but you got me if that's
Thank you,
the only
Sharon.
thing
I
we can do.
Wednesday.
appreciate that. Patty,
What about Wednesday night? Wednesday night.
That's what we're talking about.
that is tomorrow night.
That is
Oh, you-
tomorrow night.
Wait, what day is today?
I'm so sorry. It's
Tuesday.
Tuesday. Oh my God. I
Yeah,
kept thinking
okay.
It was Monday.
All right, now we have to.
I'm sorry, I'm
We've got down what we're going to do. We
Yeah,
have to
Wednesday night. Okay.
move on to the public now. All right.
Yes, yes, we do.
Okay, members of the
Yeah.
public who are here, if you care to comment, please unmute yourself and give us your video and raise your hand. Looks like Micheline has her hand raised. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, everybody. This is Micheline Halliday from San Juan Island. First of all, I want to thank Megan. Thank you so much. She's bringing her skills into this and she's just going to fly with it. And I think that's great. That's
Love it.
wonderful energy. And the rest of you, I want to thank you. I've watched this from the beginning. It is frustrating, but watching your determination, it is out of love, and that is beautiful. So thank you so much. The other thing I wanted to say is, I know it looks like we have lots of values. That's because we do. We have a place that is so valued. We have so many values, and it's hard to make it concise. And that's why everyone comes here. And that is frankly some of our problem, is that so many people come and the value of what we have decreases or is challenged. And so that's just how I want to leave this. We live in a place with such value, and protecting it is really important. And I just thank you. So thank you very much.
Bob, you're muted.
You're
What
muted.
I said was thank you very much, Micheline, for your comments today and for your comments all the way through this process. They have been invaluable, and I'm sure everybody on this committee and on the commission will agree with that. Next, we have Ben. Go ahead, Ben. Unmute yourself and talk away.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, good. Ben Bama, San Juan Island. First off, I want to apologize for not being muted earlier when I joined the meeting. Sometimes with no rhyme or reason, I
No
come
problem.
into a meeting unmuted. So
That
I
happens to
apologize for that.
everybody.
Yeah,
That happens
so,
to all of us.
But aside from that, I don't have a specific comment. I just kind of want to echo some of what Micheline said, in that, you know, I appreciate all the hard work that you folks have put into this. I know that it has been difficult at times. It probably still is. I know you're kind of in the home stretch, and I see that all your hearts are still in the right spot. And I just appreciate that very much. And I want to thank you for all your commitment to this. And I also did want to thank Commissioner McLean or Megan that for stepping in and with being willing to do some editing on such short notice. So anyway, overall, just thank you as always.
And thank you, Ben, for your
you.
statement now. And as we have gone through all of this, your support has been terrific. And we value very much everything you've had to say. Jane.
Yeah, I just, Mr. Chair, I thought it's important just to be clear about Megan and her role. She's actually not a commissioner.
Right.
She's
Thank you.
a hired contractor that we were able to secure, thankfully, because we got a little bit additional budgetary funds from the county council to enable us to fine tune, edit, streamline our work as we reach the finish line. So we're very grateful that Megan has been able to be captured and contracted for
Yes.
some intense work for a few weeks to help us finalize things.
She is what they used to call in the old Clint Eastwood movies, a hired gun. Right.
Definitely.
I prefer the term fixer.
Okay, there you go. Wow, that's kind of mob-like, isn't it? All right. Thank you so much. Okay, everybody, it sounds like we're talking about after the meeting, 6:30, 7 o'clock, something like that, after the meeting for as short a period as possible tomorrow. So Megan, can you shoot for that? And can you get something
try.
out to us that we'll be able to look at? And Sharon, yes.
Yeah, I would prefer 7 or 7:30 if we can do it, but if we have to do it at 6 o'clock, then we'll do it at 6.
How about 7:30, people, tomorrow night? If that's it, I'm gonna get the time. I'm gonna put it on the calendar, okay?
Thank you. Okay.
And then we'll just
Okay.
go from there. And yes, Jane.
Mr. Chair, I just thought, I think you may have that final version of Liz's Bill of Rights document that was sent to, Randy. And
Oh,
yeah, you remember when you sent a question to him about restorative justice, you wanted clarification on that. So I think that was the moment at which you shared that document with him. But I think it's really important that Megan has that version of Liz's, of the piece that we all concluded on. But you must have sent him something.
yeah. Well, but it's complicated, Jane. But this isn't what got sent. But that doesn't matter. You still want her to see this piece. And I even have it's even typed on the bottom of here. This is where we ended. We'll pick up from here on Tuesday. So we went through this half page.
Okay,
right?
so I may still have that one as well, or I might.
Yeah, that's what the document is, and I'm sure Patty has it, and Patty's going to be supplying. And if you don't, get with one of us, Patty. But Patty's going to be supplying Megan with that. Okay.
Okay.
Other stuff we need to handle. So it's going to be what did I say? 7:30.
7:30.
7:30 tomorrow night, and Megan will join us hopefully, and we'll have that document, and I'll put it out so members of the public can join also if they care to. I'll get that out as soon as I can.
I just
yes,
want to, I
Sharon.
need to say one more thing that I keep
Yes.
forgetting to say. I'm getting my second COVID shot today at 1:45. So I'm just hoping and praying I'm not too sick to be on these meetings. I'm going to do my damnedest to be on them, and I'm just hoping I won't get sick.
Oh, Sharon,
man.
you're old. Your immune system's, it's not in high gear. You'll be good.
That's what I'm counting on.
I'm just kidding. You should be all right. My second one was okay. It was actually not as bad as the first.
Wow.
Yeah, you should be good. You should be good.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
we understand if you're not feeling good.
You just prop yourself up, with a cup of tea and go, yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, okay.
If I look like this,
We'll understand.
then you know what's going on.
We'll understand. Okay, everybody. Thank you for the great meeting. Jane, thank you for coming, even though it was difficult for you. We really appreciate you making the quorum. And at least now, it wasn't because we didn't have a quorum. It was because we had further work to do. And maybe at the end of the day tomorrow, we'll have it done. And hallelujah. Thank you all for hanging in there as long as you have. You've been very, very grateful. Does anybody know whether any of the other three are likely to be back in Communicado? It doesn't sound like they will.
Not Bill. Not Bill.
Kyle will. Kyle will.
Oh, Kyle
Yeah,
will?
Kyle will be able to come on.
So we need to, I'll need to make sure that Kyle gets notice of what's going on.
And Liv.
As soon as I set it up, I'll send him a message. Okay. Thank you very much. If there's nothing further, can we adjourn? I think so.
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
There we go. All in
And
favor,
Bob,
aye.
Bob, you might want to just let Catherine know about the meeting tomorrow. She might have to post something, even though it's a special meeting. I don't know. I'm
All
not
right.
sure on that, but just maybe
I will.
reach out to her about that.
What I'll do is, and what I usually do is I send a notice after I set it up. I send a notice to you guys. What I do is I make an agenda when I'm doing things right.
Right.
And
Yeah.
the link will be on there, and I'll
Okay.
send it in addition to you guys. I'll send it to her and
Yeah,
Olivia
excellent.
and Kevin. Okay, thank you
Excellent.
very much, everybody.
Okay. All right.
See you a little later today. Is that right?
Oh,
Yes.
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 Thank
4
you,
o'clock.
Megan.
Yep.
Okay.
And
Bye.
thanks,
Thank
Bob. Thanks,
Bye.
Thanks,
everybody. Bye-bye.
everyone. Bye-bye now.
Bye.